Well, today on techgooch we're back to networking side of things, and I have the famous AmpliFi Alien router. So let's take a peek. Welcome back to techgooch, ladies and gentlemen. So I'm back with another review. This has been a few weeks in the making, to be honest. I've had this now installed, I think, closer to a month. Usually I go for 2 weeks of use, but of course COVID-19 is fantastic and time in my studio has been reduced. So that said, I'm back in to get this review, I guess, done on the AmpliFi Alien. Now, if you're not familiar with this, first of all, AmpliFi has been making routers for quite a while. It's a product by Ubiquiti. They make some fantastic stuff. The AmpliFi HD was kind of the precursor to the Alien. Was one of my favorite routers when it came out for ease of setup, connection capability, and definitely range, right? And the AmpliFi HD came as a 3-piece set, main router, and then 2 extensions that you could place, and they were already pre-programmed. They were fantastically easy to set up. The AmpliFi Alien definitely goes along with that, right? So just like any of the elder AmpliFi series of things, the AmpliFi Alien, or AmpliFi HD, and then they also had the AmpliFi Instant, which I have not reviewed, but just as easy setup, if probably not easier. The AmpliFi Alien goes right along with that. Setup of this thing is a breeze. And I have done a setup video. I will put the link right at the top of the description. So definitely, if you have time, check that out. I'll also put a link where you can actually check out the information on this. Now, I know that they're really low on inventory on these. They're hard to get a hold of. I was lucky to get a hold of one. And thank you, AmpliFi, for helping me out for that. But I really wanted to do a review of this. I really wanted to do a setup video of this ever since they came out with the release of this. When they announced it, I was like, yes, I can't wait, because I was a huge fan of the AmpliFi HD. So, with that said, we're going to go upstairs. We're going to show you the device. I'm going to show you the app here, down here, and show you how it's used. And then at the end here, we're actually going to go through what my full thoughts of it. So, the device, we're going to go up, we're going to look at it. I'm going to show you what the screen does, because there's a big touch screen on the front of it. The lights, stuff like that, what it looks like. And then we're going to show the app, and then we'll wrap things up. So let's head upstairs. Alright, so here we are on my main floor, which is where I have my the main Alien router currently focused, or where it's placed, which essentially is as close to the center of the house as I can possibly get without putting it in the floor, right? So right now we have it sitting on a piano, which if you watched during the install video, I actually redid all my wiring to get it placed here. My actual modem is downstairs, but that's out of the internet thing. So we have the internet coming here. This is obviously the router. This is the new screen, which I did a quick video last week when they actually released this. But from this screen, we can see the time and date, which is nice and handy. We can do an internet speed test at any time. Just click that. We actually just click it right now. I'm going to go ahead and do a speed test. Why not? Testing download. So it's doing its download test to see how fast my internet is. So it'll first do download, and then it'll do upload. So we'll give it a second. Like any speed test, it takes a moment. So right now my download speed 196.4, which is pretty solid in my opinion. And then once it's done with the download, it'll automatically start the upload test, which I pay for 200 down and 50 up technically. Which, see, this is where the thing is. The new speed test on this new one, sometimes when it saves it, it doesn't actually show what you saw at the end of the test, which is weird to me. See, I just halved it again. I don't understand why it does that, to be honest. I think there's just a glitch in the new software. But at least you can actually see it in real time, and you can guess it from that. Network up and down. This is going to be what's currently being used on your network. If we click on that screen, we can actually see if it's on LAN, if it's on Wi-Fi. It splits it out, right? It gives you the full up and down. So nothing's really streaming right now. My daughter's, I think, listening to some music, which is going to be on the Wi-Fi portion of it. Then we have our Wi-Fi experience. Wi-Fi experience, it takes all the wireless devices and then their connection rate, how good of a connection all of your devices have, and then it kind of separates it out. So if most of your devices are sitting at close to 100% connection strength, then obviously it's going to be on the higher end. If you have some that are lower, it's going to be on the lower end. I have right now at 92%. Let's see if I click on that. It'll actually show you all the devices. So you can actually cycle through here and see what device is having a low connection signal strength. And then you could maybe adjust the placement of your router from that. Or you could actually add a secondary piece, basically a second one of these. And they do have an additional piece that you can actually add, just the extension piece. Devices, you can actually look at your devices themselves. And actually see all the IP addresses associated with them, how many are wireless, how many are wired, how many are guest. All of your devices are going to be listed here. Most of my devices are currently wireless. I do try to wire as many devices as I can, but that's what it's going to show up there. And then here we can actually see information on the actual unit. So we can see how much of the CPU or the memory is actually being utilized currently, or used. Temperature of the actual core, 147 degrees. Our IP addresses here, which are probably being blocked out for you, but they are showing wide area network, local area network IPs, and then your MAC address. Your uptime, current uptime on this one is 14 hours. I restarted this last night. We were having issues with Wi-Fi, but I restarted this, and it actually turned out not to be this. It was my main internet coming into my house. So it's been kind of fluky the last couple days. Not the alien's fault, definitely the incoming line's fault. But that said, we can head back here. And so that's what you see. I don't actually try to click on the time. Yeah, it doesn't do anything. And then we can do the settings down here at the very bottom. Oh, that's actually where... Yeah, that is part of the settings. Geez, what am I doing? So yeah, that is the face. That's the stuff. That's a lot of information that you can gather from the actual device itself. On the back side of the device, let me change the camera angles because I don't know how well it's going to actually move. So these are, on the back side, we have our 4 LAN ports, which I'm currently using one that's going down to a 16-port switch I have in my basement down by my modem. Underneath is where the wide area network port is, as well as the power connection port. So those are going to be coming in on the bottom. So that's what we currently have set up for this. Obviously, if you're going to use this as your main router, most people don't have the setup like I do that go down to a main connection box, and obviously my main router is going to be up top for connection strength and everything. So you're not going to have it like this, but there are 4 shareable ports that you can do from the Alien. This is why I was flustered earlier. So if you hit the settings down here again, there is a secondary tab, settings, there we go. And from here we can actually change the brightness of the LED that's on the bottom, the brightness of the screen, and then you can see the fan right now, how fast the fan's going, the temperature, and then the volume of any beeps, or like if you ever have to, if I do a restart on this through the app, when it comes back on, it gives you a little boing that's saying that it's back up and running. And then, of course, it tells you the current software that you're actually using as well. So that's on here as well. That's in the settings tab down here on the secondary page. So sorry about that. I was confused on how to get to it for a second. Still getting used to the new screen. I like this screen substantially better than I liked the first one. And if you watch the setup video, you'll actually see the earlier version of this. So this is definitely more information-wise. I can see a lot more at a glance. Alright, so let's take a peek at the app. This is in my smart home folder. When you actually open up the app, it'll bring up the information, how many devices are connected. And this is actually obviously after we've set it up, so this is just the use of it. Everything is great. Now, if your internet goes down, which it has for me a couple times, not because of the router, but because they actually disconnected my line out at the time they were trying to figure out an issue, it tells you that there's a problem. You hit it, and you can diagnose issues, which is great. It makes it really easy to figure out and diagnose. But that said, obviously everything's great right now since the last time I restarted it. How many devices, download, upload, so similar things that you're going to see up on the actual device itself. If we actually click on it, we can actually go into the information general. Let's go into general, so you can locate, password, sound, volume, all those things. A lot of the stuff that we can do upstairs. Internet's going to give us our IPs and stuff. You can turn on universal plug and play. You can clone a MAC address, IP6, and turn that stuff on. You can turn on bridge modes, things like that. In the wireless spectrum, this is where we can change our SSID name. We can use a common name, or we can split out. If we turn this off, we can split out the 2.4 and the 5 gigahertz spectrums that are already on it. I'm going to keep them the same like I always do. You can change your password or do whatever. You can show a password. I'm not going to do that. Security, you can change which security mode you want to do. In security modes, we have WPA or WPA2. Hidden SSID, if you want to hide this thing and you have to manually put it in every time, you can choose to do that. You can turn on an additional 5 gigahertz radio. So let's do that real quick. And you can change the SSID name of that if you'd like to change it. You can router additional SSID. You can change what that secondary SSID does. If you want it to be Wi-Fi 6 or just 5 gigahertz, you can change your SSID, your guest name. I do not currently have it on. But right now, there's no security and things on that point. Your country, your band steering, if you want that. Your router steering, if you have multiple routers. Advanced, let's see, we have automatic bandwidth, things like that. Change your channels, things like that. Let's head back out of here. Discard. LCD, this would be your lighting. So, same thing that we did upstairs, we can change how bright the LCD panel is, as well as the bottom LED on it. The night mode is kind of neat. Night mode is, you can set the time as well. Night mode is the bottom LED and the LCD both turn off at a set time and then come back on at a set time. So I have mine at 2100 hours. It turns off, 9 o'clock, right? And then at 7 a.m., it comes back on. So during the night, it's not glowing the room that it's in. Wi-Fi protection setup. You can, it's kind of like hitting that WPS button on those older routers. You do it here in the app. You just click that. It'll work for 2 minutes. DHP server, port forwarding, if you want to actually forward certain ports to certain IPs. And then this is where you can see about information, which is all your information there. Firmware update, if there actually is a firmware update. Right now we're up to date. That firmware update you can also do from the device. It'll actually pop up on the LCD panel when there is an update available. If you click on it, it'll say, hey, the router's probably going to be down for a few minutes. You say yes, go for it, and there we go. And then the support info is just to get support from Ubiquiti or from the AmpliFi. That's the system. We can go into performance, which we're going to see similar things that we did upstairs. See how much download speed and stuff like that we have. Guest, we can generate a code for people to use the teleport app, things like that, or just guest access. Right now I have it inactive, but you can obviously choose how many guests and how long they can actually come on. Devices, this is where you can actually take all your devices and pause individual devices or create users. So up in the top right, we can create a profile, and then we can actually link those profiles. So right now I have the 4 of us and my smart home devices linked, and all the devices for each person. So if I go into me, for instance, I can actually head quiet time. Here's devices, and see all the devices that are linked to me, just little check marks, right? And I can actually pause the internet on my devices or my daughter's devices or my wife's for some reason. I can choose to do that from this device. It is a nice little thing. It's a good incentive. I'll pause your internet if you don't get your room cleaned, right? And then diagnose. This is actually the thing that when you're up here and it says everything is great, if something is wrong, you can hit, but diagnose is where you can actually have it check all your information and see if there's anything going wrong or what is the problem. If there is an issue, it will tell you what the issue is. So the app is really, really good. It's great. I have mine linked to my Google account, so I can actually access this even if I'm not on my local area network. I did that as part of the setup as well. And then from here, you can obviously get to access directly to their help centers, things like that, live support. If you have any issues, that's from the main menu button. So that's the app in the gist. So that is the AmpliFi Alien. This by itself is $379. That's the going rate of it. If you get this with a secondary mesh point, now the secondary mesh point looks exactly the same as this without the LCD panel and without the WAN, the connection point, things like that. The group, you buy it in a set of 2, is $699. So it's definitely cheaper than buying 2 of these, right? Obviously, I haven't tested that. I haven't tested this with adding any other additional mess points. All of my information is going to be on this itself. So, let me go through my experience with it. Setup, secondary to none. And that's the AmpliFi series in general. Whether it's the AmpliFi Alien, the AmpliFi HD, or the AmpliFi Instant, you cannot beat them for setup. They are the best and easiest to set up. The app experience, fantastic. The only other device that I've ever used that I liked the app just as much as I like this app would be the Eero setup. Now, these are faster, and these are easier to set up than Eero, not substantially so. But Eero also has a fantastic app. But I'm not going to go into that one. For range, for a single router range, it is fantastic. That's going to have a caveat to it. So, in my home, my house, my entire upstairs, has what's called Calcoat walls, the early 1970s Calcoat walls, which the easier way to describe that is it's lightweight concrete throughout the entire, all of the walls are. So rather than just the traditional drywall, it's got a lightweight concrete layer over it. That is incredibly hard. When you put a hole in it just to put like a nail in or something, it takes some effort to get through the thing. It hates wireless signals. It does not have a steel mesh in it. It just does not like wireless signals. The only way I can explain it is if you go into a hospital. Hospitals suck for Wi-Fi or even for LTE connections. That's kind of like my house. It's not that bad because it's a lot smaller, but it does not like wireless signals. I have never had a single point router, not once, that I have a single point router that actually was able to access the entire house. I can access this through the entire house. There are weak spots, and there are spots that I do not like the connection. It is definitely not fast enough, and sometimes I just, like on my phone, I'll just drop it off and go to LTE instead. There are a couple spots, but the range of this is fantastic. So if you have a newer construction house, this can get away with a lot larger area than a lot of the other ones out there, from Netgear, from Linksys, from anything. The capability of this is fantastic. Connection speed. Now, I actually used an app to find out what my connection speed from like my phone or from my Apple TV, which this would be a wireless device, and my Apple TV obviously would be a wired device because I have that running through the wired network, to my iMac, which is on the wired network as well. How good the download or the connection speed. So if I was connection and playing 4K video from my iMac, playing it on my TV or on my phone, how good of a connection was I getting? It was way better than I was ever getting with the Eero. And I want to say it was like 700 megabits per second. It was fantastic connection, and that's, the wired is definitely a little bit faster than the wireless, but I was not that far from the router, and I was getting really fast connection speeds. So local area network-wise, if it's wired, it's fantastic. Even if it's wireless, especially if you have a Wi-Fi 6 device, yeah, it's spot-on awesome. So this also has the MU-MIMO, multiple in, multiple out, multiple user stuff. So you have 4x4 on the low band, 8x8 on the high band, so 2.45 gigahertz, right? So it's got a lot of connection strength, a lot of traffic strength. It is a fantastic router. And I'll be honest, for $379, I'd be hard-pressed to find something that's as good as this as a single-point system. So, in the end, would I recommend this? Absolutely. I love this router. I really do. That's not to say that I'm going to be trying out more, because I will. I'm going to continue to try out more because I have to, right? More than anything else, I need to keep up on things. And I have another one coming, so I got to switch off from this and go to my other one. And the next one I'm doing is not a Wi-Fi 6 router, it's a Wi-Fi 5 router. So I lose some of the fancy speed that this has. But that said, guys, I wanted to say that, I don't even have the front facing you. I wanted to say that I'm really impressed by this. I do recommend it. I know right now they're probably still out of stock, at least as of this filming of this video. They're still out of stock of it. But I'll put links down below where you can check it out on their website. They do sell it through Amazon, but of course, being out of stock, you can't even get it. So I'm sure they're going to get it back up and running, but of course the whole virus thing took everything down. So limited supply. You can get them on eBay. I know they're going for more than $379 on eBay because they're a very, very solid router. and people want them. So, that said, guys, thanks for watching the video. If you have any questions or comments, please post below. Let me know if you have anything that pops up for me. Otherwise, thanks for checking us out. Like, subscribe, share, comment, and we'll catch you back here for a future video review. Or head over to GeekSmart and watch my install videos. And that can just be youtube.com/GeekSmart, or I think there's probably links down there. And of course, I'll have my GeekSmart link for the setup of this down below. We'll catch you on the future review here on TechGooch. See you soon.